Let's chat about the worst retirement advice I was given, or maybe I wasn't given this advice, but these were things that I assumed about retirement. But before we get into it, there's a couple of things that I want to tell you that's coming up. So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified as soon as I do these videos. But I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We traveled to Iowa for Thanksgiving. It's a tradition that my kids have enjoyed for years, and they didn't really express that they enjoyed it that much until this year. And my oldest daughter wanted to take her boyfriend back to Iowa. She thinks it's a Hallmark town. They have a lighted parade and live windows, and that's where we spent our Thanksgiving with lots of driving. We drove every day somewhere. So I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. So here are some things that are coming up on this channel. First of all, I talked about my routines in the last video, and I got some different planners. I'm going to go back to planning better and using a paper and digital planners to just get my life together and be more organized. And that goes along with some of the things I'm going to talk about that was the worst advice I was given. I have a really exciting product to share. Back when I was a principal, I always got software or educational products or programs that I could share on my channel or different Facebook groups I was in. Well, I had a company reach out to me with a product that I can get behind, so I'm going to share that in an upcoming video. The next video after this one is going to be my monthly budget for November. If you've been following along, this will be my third. This one will be in more detail. I got some feedback from you guys on my last budget video, and so I took better notes and have more detail on what I spent, and I'm going to share that with you in the next video. Let's talk about the worst retirement advice I was given. I have 7 things or 7 assumptions about retirement that I followed that I'm going to share with you. And the last one that I share is the one everybody tells you and was probably the worst advice for me personally. Number 1, and I have my list right in front of me, but is when to retire. There's advice to retire as early as you can, and then there's advice to retire as late as you can. For me, I didn't know any better. I assumed that in education, 30 and out was the goal in the state of Missouri, or 80 and out. My age plus my years of experience equaled 80, then I could be done. I think the magic number in Missouri is 32, and when you work past 32 years, then it's not financially beneficial. Your retirement doesn't change, or there's something with that 32. Somebody can comment if they want to, but it's the lump sum and whatever the retirement percentage is after that. I retired because I just thought that's what you're supposed to do in education. Granted, I didn't have a plan that I was going to go to. I just knew that, okay, everybody retires after 30 years in education. I know there are teachers that are still in at 40 years and 45 years, and I wonder why they're doing that. Now I understand that. Retiring early was one piece of advice. The next part of that is retiring later. I probably could have stayed in my position or not called myself a retiree. I might go back to work, and right now I am supplementing my income. The advice is, oh, you can't retire, you're only 52. Or what are you gonna do? Well, that was a good question. The advice of when to retire is a very personal decision. It has to be made by you and your family or the people in your life. Number 2 is telling you how much you need in order to retire. In my situation, I get a monthly pension, and I know what that total is every month for the rest of my life. If you have investments or you're planning on retiring, getting money back from investments, that's probably different for you. There's different numbers I've heard tossed around. You have to have $100,000 in the bank. You have to have $500,000 in the bank. You have to have $1 million in the bank. I've done a video with a good friend of mine, Taylor DeMars at DeMars Financial. He's helped me kind of understand there is no magic number. If you want to travel when you retire, you're obviously going to want to retire with more money. I didn't necessarily, and I've talked in another video about traveling, and I don't necessarily feel like I need to do that, but I would have needed additional income if traveling was going to be part of my plan as a retired person. Number 3, don't retire if your kids are still at home. And I actually always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I remember when my kids were born and I made more money than my husband at the time, so I paid a lot of the bills. There wasn't really the option for me to stay home. However, I wanted to really badly. When you have a baby, it's really hard those first times that you leave the baby. Once I went back to work, I got into the groove of being in work and being a working mom. Now that I am a stay-at-home mom, even though my oldest daughter is off to college, I don't think my kids want me here. I needed to probably have a conversation with my kids about retiring and what that was going to look like for them with me being home all the time. But you can retire with kids at home. You probably need a little bit more money than I realized because kids, teenagers are expensive, gas and just expenses of having kids. I know that they should have jobs and my daughters have jobs. There are things that I do give them money for because I choose to do that and the way that I was raised, but you can retire having kids at home. Number 4 is not to retire with debt. I do agree that it's most beneficial not to have debt when you retire, but I have debt right now and I had debt when I retired. When I retired, I had credit card debt and that was a terrible idea. I paid that off. That is taken care of. I retired. I went back to work. That provided me the opportunity to pay off all my debt except my car and my house. So the debt that I have right now is a mortgage payment and a car payment, and then whatever my fixed expenses are. I don't know how people can retire without at least maybe rent or a mortgage payment in today's economy. I know people have commented that it's hard for anybody to retire in today's economy. You can retire with debt, it's just not recommended. If I didn't have my house and my car debt, that would be $1,700 more a month that I would have to go towards investments or savings, or would cover all the little expenses of having teenagers, or I wouldn't have to supplement my income by substitute teaching and this YouTube channel. Number 6, just think you won't have to have a schedule and you won't have to set an alarm, and that's true. I don't work well when things aren't structured. I need a schedule and I need to set my alarm. The difference about me setting my alarm is that I can hit snooze more times than when I was working. I have to have a schedule. I'm gonna do a video about planners because I have gone back to both paper and digital planning. It might seem overwhelming or a ridiculous amount of planning to some of you, but it works for me. I feel so much better. Last week and this weekend, I used my planners. I wrote down a ton of things. I'm getting so much more done. I feel so much more organized. I need a schedule and I need an alarm. You might not, but for me and my personality, if people knew me, and they probably wouldn't have given me that advice. This may just be a statement and not necessarily advice. You're not going to know how you worked and got everything done. You're going to be so busy in retirement. Well, that's true. I am busy. I can still get things done. I still have time to get things done. I don't know if this comment is in reference to keeping up with my house and groceries and cooking. I gave up the stress and the high expectations of a clean house a long time ago. I've been doing this by myself as a single mom for 9 years, and I was trying to keep everything the way it was as if we were a two-parent household, and I've had to give up my expectations of having a perfectly clean house and laundry done and put away and all those kinds of things. So I don't feel the pressure to have a super clean house. Now, groceries and cooking dinner have taken a lot of time and I have spent more time on those things because I'm trying to budget better and not eat out as much. And actually, groceries are a lot more expensive than they ever have been. So that's part of that process. But another thing that goes along with the grocery shopping is when I worked so much, we ate out more. So I wasn't doing dishes as much. I wasn't cooking as much because we were eating out all the time. I mean, you still have to clean up after you eat out. It even seems like when you eat out, you still have dishes and stuff to put away. It wasn't as excessive as it is now when I'm cooking every single day. Before this last one, if you want to hit the subscribe or like and share this video with somebody that you know is getting ready to retire, I'm sharing the honest truth and being very transparent about what retirement has been like for me. But the last thing was that people are like, you're gonna love it, it's so awesome. And I haven't got there yet. I love not being on somebody else's schedule, and all the supplemental income things that I've been doing are on my time and on my schedule. But I don't necessarily know that I love retirement yet, and I'm just getting used to it. I'm going to love it. I can see that in the future. Right now, I'm just trying to figure it out. It's only been 3 months that I've really set my mind to being retired. And in those 3 months, I've chosen to supplement my income. So I haven't really settled into being specifically retired and not working at all. My plan for my next video is to show you my budget. I was just writing it out earlier today for the month of November, and I'm going to be really specific this time since somebody asked me to, but I will see you in that video.